welcome to National Herald. I'm Rukmini Sen. All India Catholic Union has come out with a press statement where they mention that they mourn the death of Father Stan Swami. Joining me right now is Father Cedric Prakash, his friend, fellow Jesuit priest. Father, welcome to the show. It's a strange day, and let me offer my deepest condolences to you and to the world of human rights defenders.
Thank you.
What does this death actually mean to you?
For me, the death of Father Stan Swami is certainly a personal loss, a great personal loss. Ever since I heard of his death, from the moment I heard about his death, for me, I've been, feeling very, very shattered, a deep void in my life. This is personally. But transcending my personal loss is for me the loss to the whole country. Father Stan Swami epitomized the best what India meant. A person who transcended the narrow confines of his ethnicity, of his religion, of maybe even of his life, identifying himself totally with the Adivasis and trying to walk their journey towards a more humane, just, dignified, and peaceful life.
Father, he was one of the accused in the Bhima Koregaon case. How do you look at that entire episode? Because he practically died in incarceration, right? He wasn't given bail even on the grounds of, on medical grounds. Yeah. How do you see that?
Yeah, Father Stan Swami was one of the 16 who were incarcerated in the so-called Bhima Koregaon conspiracy case. This is absolutely ridiculous. There was an Elgar Parishad that took place just on the suburbs outskirts of Pune on the 31st of December 2017, and on the 200th anniversary of the uprising there, thousands had gathered on the 1st of January 2018. There was violence, and in the original FIRs and so on, people from the right-wing Hindu organizations were named. But suddenly, over a period of time, beginning with the middle of June 2018, now over 3 years ago, arrests were made one after the other. There were investigations done on Father Stan Swami. And finally, on the 8th of October 2020, from his residence in Bagaicha, Ranchi, he was first called there to the NIA. He was kept overnight. Morning, he was flown to Bombay and immediately incarcerated in the Taloja jail. The only silver lining, much maybe to his reluctance, was that when he got very, very sick, he finally agreed to go to a private Catholic hospital, the Holy Family Hospital in Bombay, where he was there for the last few weeks. And finally, he succumbed to his illnesses, to COVID and so on. Last afternoon, the 5th of July. But the tragedy is that we need to ask ourselves one question. Why was he arrested? There is absolutely no shred of evidence. The NIA and the investigation authorities have not been able to prove anything. They say that he has links with some, ultra-left organizations, whatever it is, but there is no proof. They had taken away his frugal belongings. They had taken away maybe his computer, and even highly professional groups working, in modern technology. will be able to tell you, like the Arsenal Consulting of the United States, how things can be planted into one's computer. There has not been a shred of evidence. So the injustice is that Father Stan Swami was illegally incarcerated. He has never been to an Elgar Parishad, never been to Bhima Koregaon. He might have had his friends going there, like I have my friends there today. That is irrelevant. But he has not been there. He has not been responsible for the violence. His arrest was totally unwarranted, unjustified, illegal, and in spite of being a frail person with Parkinson's disease, he had a bad hearing, he had other infirmities, and already he contracted the COVID-19. Um, so what we are saying is the system, a very insensitive system, the powerful killed him. He was murdered.
This is something that you are saying. I heard Tista Chatalwa, John Dayal, and many other human rights activists say the same thing, that this was an institutional murder.
Yes, institutional murder.
But Father, it all sounds so illogical. I mean, to people who lead their lives without really engaging in public life, so to say, that how illogical is his death, how illogical is his incarceration, and not just his, as he would have wanted us to talk about other people also.
Yes.
You know, all the 16 people who were arrested. Why is it that in this country, or maybe in other countries also of this world, human rights activists, civil rights activists get so easily arrested and can be kept behind bars for so long? I mean, he was not a criminal. Even if somebody is a Maoist, he wasn't. He was a Jesuit priest. But even if somebody is a Maoist, that's a political prisoner. But how is it so easy? And how do we correct this?
Yeah. See, this is the sad part of the whole drama that has been unfolding. We are living in a state which I have no qualms in saying, which is fascist, which brooks no dissent. Now, when Father Stan was accompanying the Adivasis there in the Jharkhand, in the Chotanagpur area for years, he realized that they were being deprived of their rights, their legitimate rights, the justice that is due to them, the dignity that should be given, the equality. And we have all there. We have it in the PESA. We have the rights of tribals, of Adivasis, which are guaranteed by the constitution. And all that he was doing was to accompany them in the quest, the relentless quest for that justice, for those rights, so that it comes to them. um, he went to the courts challenging the incarceration of young Adivasi boys. So anybody who questions the powerful, the mining mafia, the ones who destroy the country, the real unpatriotic people who are ready to loot the country, those who side with the poor, the marginalized, the excluded, and the exploited, like as Father Stan Swami did all his life, they become the bad persons. They become the so-called perpetrators of the crime. But those who destroy the forests, take out the precious natural resources, he was talking about the jal jungle or jameen, oh yeah, of the Adivasis, something which the nation for years has recognized. Indigenous peoples everywhere, all over the world, have the rights to water, to land, to the forests, and they've been living in this natural scenario for centuries. And suddenly you snatch it away. Suddenly you help profiteers, literally take out precious resources from those areas, destroy the jungle, give it to industry. Stan was questioning all this. And when you question, when you dissent from the evil that the powerful are doing, then of course they want you out of the way. They caught him out of the way and they killed him.
And while listening to, I know that a lot of people will want to will define this as a Hindu versus Christian thing, but the fact is that it's a fight between people and the supremacist power. We need to also define that, because uh, clearly the other people who have been arrested are not, all of them are not neither priests, they are not Christians, they are from across the they're Indians. There's Sudha Bhardwaj, there's Gautam Navlakha. There are people who were not engaging with may have not even had friends here in Elgar Parishan. uh, I want to also ask you that, which is something, an extension of what you were saying, that why is tribal rights such a big deal in this country? I mean, why is it that anybody who is even a lawyer gets, like Sudha, I mean, they get arrested and nothing happens. Nobody speaks about them, because people in Delhi and Bombay don't even care, actually.
Yes. See, that is the point. We are living in a world which is becoming more and more insensitive. As long as my interests are not affected, people are literally saying, I take it two hoots of what is happening to those people. They have been using derogatory words for those who live in the forest and so on. Um, these are the people who have been the preservers of of uh, of our land, our culture, identity, of our environment, of our ecosystems, and suddenly we are denigrating them just because what matters is mammon for us, money, greed, the lust to have more. And we don't care what happens to the marginalized, say the migrant workers. Many of them are coming out from those areas to build our cities, to do our roads, to construct our buildings. Who are they? They are the Adivasis, the Dalits, the poor, the vulnerable. They come into our cities to help us survive. And this is the way we treat them. You brought this whole question of Christian versus Hindu and so on. This has nothing to do. Let's say the Gospel of Jesus very clearly speaks about the values enshrined in the Constitution of India: justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, of the rights of all, very especially the excluded. And Jesus took a stand, and for the stand was definitely doing what Jesus literally mandated him to do. I Every single of my Hindu friends, I have several Hindu friends, would believe in what maybe the sacred scriptures of Hinduism tell them. What the Bhagavad Gita is all about is the ability to reach out to others and so on. Look at what maybe even the Protestant religions in from Hinduism are saying, whether it is Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism. They are talking about the reaching out to others, not harming the littlest of God's creations, of God's creatures. So, what are we talking about? This has nothing to do with religion. Stan has been accused of conversion. Well, yes, I think I will accuse him of conversion too. But converting a person who has been denied of his or her rights to being converted to a person who literally and legitimately has the rights guaranteed in the Constitution of India. That was his movement of conversion. And yes, he was converting to become better citizens, greater Indians, and more patriotic according to the Constitution of India.
Converting victims into survivors. That is the
Yes,
conversion he
right.
did.
Into victims, into their rightful place, not merely surviving, but into their rightful place
Thriving.
in society. That is, and their legitimate place in society. They cannot be treated just as subalterns, as the underdogs, as the scum of society. And this is what has threatened the rich, the powerful, those who have their own agenda, those who want to control the lives of the others. He helped people to walk the path of liberation.
And if Father Stan Swami has been accused of being a Maoist, so has Swami Agnivesh been accused of being. We have across the board
Right.
from all religions people who have been accused. If you stand by the tribals, I guess you are Maoist in this country.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, the point is what you mean by Mao's. Okay.
yeah.
Mao had this thing. So the point is, and everybody subscribes to a non-violent way of doing things. And Stan believed in non-violence, not in violence. So how do you call him? Maybe somebody who says the end justifies the mean. I find it absolutely non-acceptable, not merely ridiculous, but it should be thrashed till its very end.
Yeah, so what Father Stan Swami stood for is the picture right behind you clearly.
Yes.
There are two pictures. One is of Christ, one is of Gandhi, and we can all see that in the frame.
Yeah.
So I will also like to ask you that, this bail application his bail application was denied repeatedly. I mean, the way it was handled by the
Right.
prosecutors, because Father Stan Swami would have wanted us to talk about it a lot more, because for him it wasn't just his case but many other cases. How do we address this for
Yeah.
others?
Yeah. This is what we are saying. The UAPA per se, and with its amendments, has made things absolutely draconian, anti-constitutional, and anti-human rights. Okay. We are asking that it be revoked immediately and unconditionally. Okay. It's against the freedom of speech and expression, the right to association, and the right to legitimately stand up for one's own rights and take up cudgels on behalf of the rights of others. Okay. So I think we need to look at this whole question of bail. Okay, from the time he was arrested, why is bail not being given? And we have cases now. We have classic cases of people coming out of jail. There was a doctor who came for a cancer specialist there from Kashmir. He was incarcerated under the UAPA, for years, and then suddenly they find no case against them. What is the case? Where is the charge sheet? We want to know. They say they have got hundreds and thousands of pages. So photocopying pages and making huge thing and try to create this hype is one of the most ridiculous things that are being doing by the so-called investigation agency. Even a fourth standard child will be able to look at the hollowness of this. What are they? Show us 10 lines of evidence. We don't need thousands of pages of photocopying in which you have nothing else to do. You're using the taxpayers' money. You're trying to create a job. You're trying to prove you're going to protect the country. Okay. When the people you have been identifying with right from the top are scoundrels, those who have destroyed the country, those who have looted our banks, those who have made windfalls through demonetization, those who have kept the poor poorer. Find out who are becoming richer in the country. Okay, it's there for all to see. Take them on. We challenge you. Instead of trying to intimidate and harass and literally throttle those who speak for the voiceless of the country, those who take a stand for what is right and for what is just. And even when the bail applications were made, finally and thankfully, there was a judge who asked Stan Swami what you would like to do. Stan was determined a few weeks ago to say either I want to go back to Ranchi to my people on regular bail, or I want to be here in Taloja jail. And he didn't even want to go to the JJ hospital. Finally, out of conviction, because many of us, especially the great team of lawyers that we had, Mir Desai and company, felt that it is important, given his health situation, he gets the best possible treatment. Stan relented. And in spite of the medical bail application being postponed from one another out of passion, could not the legal system, the system of justice, provide him with the medical bail which he rightly deserved maybe 6 months ago. He is he's been languishing in jail now for almost 8 or 9 months from the 8th of October. I think this is inhuman, this is insensitive, and those who have been responsible for his murder must be brought to book.
I have just last two questions. One question is that his lawyers have asked for a judicial inquiry, and you have also asked for a judicial
Yes,
inquiry, right?
all
Yes.
of us, all of we support the lawyers. We need a judicial and objective, impartial inquiry as to what were the charges and why, even if he has to be accused of certain things, if a sick person, this is international protocol, international covenant. You don't allow an old man, he's supposed to be the oldest so-called terrorist in India and now to have died in jail. He was not given bail. So even if he was in a hospital, he was in jail, but out in a physical structure which was physically not a jail, but in fact he was a prisoner there. um, so it's pathetic, and I think it is very important for us, not merely to have a judicial inquiry, but an inquiry which will be totally objective, totally impartial, and will ask ultimately that those who are responsible for the murder of Father Stan Swami are brought to book, whoever they are, from the highest positions in this country.
Father, tell us something about the man,
Yeah,
Father Stan Swami. Tell us something about when did you meet him,
yeah.
the man, for that matter.
Uh, See, I was a student in Bombay in St. Xavier's College, and we went for a kind of a social awareness orientation program to the Indian Social Institute in Bangalore. Father Stan Swami was a young priest, and he had come there, as one of the trainers. Later on, he became the director. I worked with the Catholic student movement in the country based in Chennai. And then we used to have lots of connection. Another colleague of mine, companion Stan Tikikara, who spoke last night too, ultimately went and lived with Stan there, in the Jharkhand area for 2 or 3 years. Then and there was very closely involved. Over the years, I've been in touch with Stan on different occasions, and very especially after the Gujarat violence of 2002. Stan knew that we were, Tista and many others were here at our center, and we were doing lots of things. He was very, very concerned. I've been reading some of his emails and so on. Unfortunately, some of the big things he used to send me also attachments. And then we have kept the attachments but deleted the emails. But I have a lot of the emails and so on, in which at every stage he was showing a tremendous amount of concern. Ever since these investigations, I was in the Middle East working with the Jesuit Refugee Services for 3 years, based in Lebanon, but a lot in Syria and in Iraq. And then, in a way, I was little in touch. I was writing about what happened in Bhima Koregaon in 2017, 18. I came back to India late in 2018, 16, 17, 18. I was there. And then I was in contact by email and a bit on phone with Stan. But unfortunately, I did not have the opportunity of either going to Ranchi to meet him, and then came the pandemic. Then where was his arrest? But I've been part of a Jesuit response, part of the team um, to his situation, to the situation of the 15 others, trying to work at three different levels. One is the legal level. We have an excellent legal team, both based in Bombay and with important connections in Delhi for the Supreme Court, should the matter have arrived there. We are working in terms of advocacy. And my forte is always advocacy, making people aware of the truth of what is happening at the ground reality in the Taloja prison, writing a lot about Stan and of the 15 others. In fact, two of them, Vernon Gonsalves, and I studied in the same school in Bombay. Okay, he was junior to me. And Arun Ferreira and myself studied in the same college. He again was junior to me, St. Xavier's College. So these are highly committed people. Sudha Bharadwaj, Anand Teltumde, Vara Rao, Gautam Navlaka, the whole dramatist from Kala Manch, and, and Rona Wilson and the others. All 15 of them have been highly committed people to the cause and the idea of India. And this is what we are telling people, that their incarceration under the UAPA has been illegal, has been unconstitutional. They should be set free. And our demands are very clear: to revoke immediately the UAPA, to set free all the Bhima Koreka conspiracy case, those who are incarcerated. The 15 others, now Varavara Rao is out, and this one is still in the hospital. Kosik, I just now cannot get his name, but I can get his name later. And to stop all these anti-national laws, the sedition laws and so on, whom are they jailing? They're not jailing the criminals. They're not jailing the so-called terrorists. These are their friends. These are the people destroying the country. And we are clear about that. So if we want Satyamev Jayati, truth to triumph, then we need to look at the rights of every single citizen of the country, very especially the poor and the marginalized.
Thank you very much for your time. I know it's a busy day, but I also know that you agreed because it's a friend you were speaking on. Thank you very much, Father Cedric Prakash.
Yes, Father Stan Swami has been a great inspiration in my life. And I'm very upset at his death, but I believe, and I've written about it, that Stan will never die.